Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us this morning at this Your Overseas Home webinar. Today, we will be talking about the golden three experts that we recommend you have in place to help you buy in Spain. My name's Hannah Armstrong, and I'm going to be hosting today's session and taking us through this morning. Our business have been assisting property buyers with their purchases for over 10 years now, and we hope to help you avoid any pitfalls in the process, make it as enjoyable as possible, and crucially, make sure you save money where possible. With the travel restrictions lifting and the COVID situation slowly improving across Europe, we have seen a real surge in demand for European properties this summer, and we're excited to have you with us today to help you on that buying journey. So today you will hear from three golden three Spain buying experts. First up, you'll hear from Paul Harris of Smart Currency Exchange. Following that, we are going to be joined by Carsten Ryder from Vincent Real Estate. He's just working through some technical issues, but he will be with us shortly. And then last up, we will hear from Raquel Perez of Perez Legal, based down on the Costa del Sol. For those of you who are listening in with us live today, if you do have any questions that you want to put to the panel, please do type these in on the questions section on the right-hand side of your screen, and we will get as many of these answered as possible for you. So without further ado, I will hand over to our first of the golden three speakers today, Paul Harris of Smart Currency Exchange. Now, Paul and his team are based here in the UK, and they help buyers from across the world with all of their currency management and currency risk solutions. So I'll hand over to you, Paul, and I'll ask you to start by just giving a little bit of background into Smart Currency Exchange and how you can help today's viewers.
Thanks, Hannah. Morning, everyone. As Hannah said, I'll be talking to you today about how Smart Currency Exchange can help you on your journey. But as I said, a little bit of an overview into what we do. So our main aim is to help you control the actual currency transaction. So moving your money from the UK, obviously, into Spain and doing the currency conversion from sterling into euro. Our main sort of task for you is to keep the costs as low as possible, manage the potential risks associated to currency fluctuations, and just make sure the whole process is as smooth as possible for you. Over the last 16, 17 years, we've helped over 40,000 people in the exact same position as yourselves. So we feel really skilled and sort of able to help you on this journey, and look forward to speaking to you as many of you as possible.
Brilliant. Thank you, Paul. And you've put some of your sort of more frequently asked questions there up on screen. Can you start by sort of talking us through that? And your top one there is what happens if a property purchase falls through? How does sort of Smart help with customers that have got kind of, you know, they're sort of going through their journey, and how do you help with the sort of various fluctuations and changes in that sort of journey?
So obviously it does happen. People will be looking at purchasing a property, may have found a property, and for whatever reason it falls through. Obviously, if you've booked in a contract with us already, and you're actually fixed in with a contract with us, we can work very closely with you, either extend the contract or cancel the contract for you. So if you are locked into a forward contract with us, which I'll explain in just a moment, we can extend that or cancel that for you. So we'll work very closely with you on that, and just facilitate whatever needs you have.
Brilliant. And you mentioned there about the forward contract. Can you talk us through the different types of services and contracts that Smart provide?
Yeah, absolutely. So if you've done any research already, you may have seen spot or forward contracts. So there are two main products that we would offer. So the difference between the two is a spot contract would be, so if you called us today and you wanted to book an exchange rate, or book a transfer, we give you today's exchange rate. If you're happy with that, we fix that exchange rate in. You send the money straight over to us in sterling, and we forward out the euros to you. So it's a really convenient product. We can action that very quickly, and often we can get the money into Spain the same day. If not, it will be the next working day. So a really quick and efficient product for you. Our most popular product, certainly we're associated with the actual purchase part of the property, is a forward contract. So I'll explain what that is. So give you a bit of a scenario. So for example, you'd be in Spain at the moment, and you find the property of your dreams and sign on the dotted line. At that point, you've agreed your price in euros. So that price is fixed and won't change. And there may be obviously additional costs on top if you want to add anything on, but that property price is going to stay the same. What will be changing will be the amount that it will be costing you in pound sterling, because obviously you're holding sterling at the moment, and you're obviously looking for euros. So the euro price is fixed, and the pound price will be going up and down depending on the actual market price. So what a forward contract does for you is it takes all the risk away from any potential drops in the market, and gives you full peace of mind that your budget is protected. So, for example, you sign on the dotted line today, but you might not have a completion date for 3 months' time. So your price in euros is fixed. If you agree the price, if you're happy with the exchange rate today, we can fix that price as well for your sterling price. So you know exactly how much the property is going to cost you in euros in Spain, but you also, most importantly, know how much it's going to cost you in pound sterling coming out of your actual bank account in the UK. We take the only difference between the spot and the forward is you don't have to pay for the full contract on a forward contract straight away. We take it between a 5 and a 10% deposit, which basically just holds the exchange rate for you. And then on the day of completion, we just take the remaining balance from you. You send the remaining balance over to our accounts. Two other options for you are orders. So we have an order to call and an order to buy. So again, exactly the same scenario. If you agree to sign on the dotted line, you've got your price fixed in euros, but the exchange rate isn't quite exactly where you want it to be. You want it to be a little bit higher to work with your budget and make things a little bit cheaper for you. So we can put orders in the market for you. So we could say, if you're looking for, say, 1 or 2 cents higher than the market price at the moment, we can put a marker on for you and start to try and target that rate. An order to call would be, obviously, if that rate is achieved, we would call you and let you know. And then obviously at that point, you can either fix in a contract or potentially wait. Or an order to buy would be, obviously, when that rate is achieved, we would transfer the funds for you and book in a contract. The order to buy, we would hold the funds for you. So we can obviously do that very quickly for you. An order to call, obviously, we don't need the funds on account. And the most important thing with these orders, though, as I said, obviously, we can aim for higher rates than where we are now. We can't guarantee that, though. So really important that there does come a little bit of extra added risk that the rates could go the other way. So they could go down and actually be at a lower point than where we'd first had that original conversation. So it does come with a little bit of added risk, but it does have a little bit of an upside benefit if we are able to get a little bit of a higher exchange rate for you. So all very popular products, but the most popular one with us that we find is the forward contract, as it takes all the risk and gives you complete peace of mind that the price is fixed.
Great, thank you, Paul. That's a really comprehensive overview. And how early in the buying process should a customer start talking to Smart about their currency?
Well, we'd say right from the very start. We can help you, even if you're not actually looking at the actual physical transfer of funds at the moment. We can still help you understand how much things are going to cost, and that's ultimately one of the most important things when you are buying the property. So again, you may just be looking online at the moment. You may have used various comparison websites, maybe Rightmove overseas. You may have used the Property Guides portal. But on there, you'll be looking at a type of property, an area, but you'll also be looking at a price range as well. So again, at that point, without even thinking about it, you're probably looking at some sort of currency exchange in your mind there. So we can help you understand if you're looking at say for an example of a property that's 200,000 euros, for example. We can help you understand how much that's actually going to cost in pound sterling. There'll be no pressure to actually book a transfer with us at any point. We can just give you that guidance and talk you through it. So yeah, we say as early as possible we can help you on the journey.
Thanks, Paul. And that leads really nicely into a question that we've had this morning from one of our viewers, Ian. He said, does he have to open an account with Smart to do a spot contract, or can he just do that straight away?
So if you're booking a transfer through with us, yes, you would need to have an account open with us. The reason for that is we are a fully regulated financial services provider, so we have to have an actual open account. It's not a bank account; it's just basically a trading platform for you, where we will just take a couple of personal details, so we have you registered on the system. And it just allows us then to actually facilitate the transfers for you. So if you are looking at doing a spot transfer, you would need to have an account with us if you were doing it through Smart. Yeah.
Brilliant, thanks, Paul. And as we know, traditionally a lot of our viewers are based in the UK, so it would be a sterling euro transfer. But we do have some Kiwi listeners this morning joining us from New Zealand. And Richard's asked, can you transfer New Zealand dollars to euros as well for them?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, we have the majority of people at these shows is based in the UK, so we talk about it as a sterling euro transaction. But yes, we do all the major currencies across the world. There's very few currencies that we wouldn't support, and New Zealand dollar is absolutely one that we can help with. Yeah.
That's brilliant. Thank you. And Karen's asked, what are the fees or commissions that Smart charge?
So we don't charge a fee. We don't charge any commission either. So it's a completely free service. So free to open and no obligation. We make our money when we actually book the transfer itself, but the actual exchange rate that we offer to you is the exchange rate you'll get. There's no added additional fees at the start, and there's no additional fees afterwards. We make our money in the difference between the market price and the exchange rate that we can offer. So no fees at all, but it is a free service. One thing that we would always say, obviously, when you're booking a transfer, is that the trader that you're speaking to will always be very transparent with the actual exchange rate you're getting and how much things will be costing from a sterling perspective. But yeah, there's no additional fees. It's just the exchange rate we offer you will be the exchange rate you get.
Great, that really helps clarify things. Thanks, Paul. Ray, who's joining us this morning, has asked about future services. So we've obviously talked there quite a lot about, the sort of lump sum transfer to purchase the property, but what kind of future services can you support with, sending mortgage payments over, paying the bills, sending your pension over, things like that? Is that something Smart can help with as well?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a great question, really. I mean, it's one of the obviously I've been in the industry for a very long time, and there's sort of the misconception that we're only interested in booking the large transfers and we'll never talk to you again after that. But we understand, obviously, as I said earlier, we've helped an awful lot of people in the exact same position as the people watching today. And we understand that the buying journey doesn't end when you buy the property. So you may be buying it as a holiday home. You may be buying it to move out, and there will be the need to do transfers after you've actually purchased the property. So we have got some incredibly popular products. Our most popular is for an after sale product is our regular payment plan, and that sort of covers one of the points you made there about mortgages. So if you have a mortgage over in Spain or a mortgage in the UK, depending on where you're based, we can set up a regular transfer in or out of Spain. We can go both ways. And we can set that up on a fixed contract as well. So again, you can have peace of mind that your bills are going to be costing you X amount each month, and it won't change with the fluctuations in the market price. But that's absolutely something we can have a chat with you about as well. We've got the vast majority of our clients that have bought with us in the past will be setting up a plan similar to that to cover bills or pension payments, etc.
Brilliant. That's great. Thank you, Paul. And back to one of your FAQs that you've put on screen there. Why should a customer choose Smart over their bank?
Yeah, I mean, it's a very easy answer, actually. There's a few main reasons why you would do it. I mean, the service that we can offer is paramount, and especially when you're looking at moving large sums of money. And we know what we're talking about. We can give you good guidance. Give you good advice of when is a good time to be transferring the money. And if you walk into the high street bank, you may be speaking to someone that has no experience of foreign exchange at all. So you might speak to a cashier or speak to a personal banker who will just be typing into a computer the exchange rate. The exchange rate they get on their screen will be what the advice you get. It won't get any sort of background into what's happening, what potential future things are upcoming. And ultimately, we can hold your hand through the process and take the stress out of the actual transfer for you. I think ultimately, the reason I said it was quite an easy answer is, at the end of the day, the exchange rate that we can offer compared to the bank is far superior. We will obviously guide you through the process as well, but the banks aren't very favourable on the exchange rate side of things either.
Thanks, Paul. That's great to understand, because I think a lot of people do sort of traditionally just think they'd go straight to their high street bank. So that's very helpful. How you mentioned earlier a little bit about sort of regulation and that Smart has to adhere to, but can you just clarify for the customers, how they know that their money is safe with Smart and sort of how you're regulated?
Absolutely. So we're excuse me, as I mentioned earlier, we're a fully regulated company. So we're authorised by the FCA and governed by the rules obviously with HMRC as well. But when your money comes into us, most importantly, that your money is safe and secure. So when you send money to us, it goes to a client holding account that's in your name. So it doesn't go straight into the smart currency accounts. So your money's safeguarded there. So if at the point of transfer, anything was to happen to Smart as a business, which is incredibly unlikely, but if it did, the money would be returned to sender, so the account that we've received the funds from. It's not the same rules as the £85,000 with the banks, because we're not a bank, so it would just be returned straight to you in full. And if anyone is interested in finding out any more information, please do contact me with the details on the screen, and I can send out some documents just outlining everything on there for you.
Brilliant. Thank you, Paul. And the last question I have for you, which I know is always your favourite when I ask this, but customers do always inquire. What does Smart think will happen to exchange rates between sort of now and the end of the year? Do you do any kind of forecasting or predictions on behalf of your clients?
Yeah, it's my favourite question because I can't really answer it. Yeah, we write a forecast as a business. We write a currency forecast where we will talk about upcoming events and things that could impact the currency markets in various different ways. To be completely honest, a forecast will give you a lot of good insight into what's coming up. We tend not to give advice on where we predict the exchange rates are going to go, because ultimately nobody knows. If anyone's telling you that in 6 months' time the sterling euro is going to be 125, I would question how they're getting that information, because ultimately we don't know what's going to happen from one day to the next. A lot of things can impact the markets. We've obviously seen over the last few weeks the petrol crisis over in the UK. That had a significant hit on the sterling euro. That wasn't an expected thing to happen. So ultimately, from one day to the next, we really don't know what's going to happen. So you'll get a lot of great insight from forecasts. A lot of banks will write them. As I said, we write one as well. But if you're looking at a few of them, and there's a few of them predicting exchange rates, you'll notice one very clear thing is that they're all predicting very different things. So it's all based on what someone's opinion is at the time. So say use a forecast if you're reading one to get the advice, but we really can't predict what's going to happen from one day to the next. We could say there's a general election potentially coming up, which obviously there isn't at the moment, but if there was one coming up, we say if it goes this way or that way, this could happen, and it's quite likely. But again, it could be the complete opposite. So we would always work off what the market is at the moment, and then potentially look at any risks associated with that, because we simply can't predict what's going to happen.
Thanks, Paul. That's great. And it's been really helpful to hear your insight this morning. So thank you for that. If we have any more questions and any more time at the end, we will certainly get back to them. But I'm conscious of our time, and I would like to move on. We'd hope to speak to Carsten Ryder from Vincent Real Estate based on the Costa Blanca next. We're still working in the background with a couple of those technical issues. So I'm going to move on to the third of our Golden 3 specialists that we recommend you have involved. And that is an English-speaking solicitor who can really support you through the technicalities and legalities of buying your property in Spain. So we're joined today by Raquel Perez of Perez Legal, who we've worked with for a long time. And Raquel herself has worked in this industry for over 20 years, and she specialises particularly in supporting expats to understand the legalities and the procedures involved in buying in Spain. And she can also help with things like Spanish visas and residencies as well. So we're delighted to have Raquel with us this morning. Thank you for giving us your time, Raquel. I'd love it if you could just start by giving us a little bit of background into what you do, into your business, and how you can support our viewers today.
Yes, of course. Good morning to everyone. Good morning, Hannah. Yes, we have been 26 years in this business, mainly working for British clients. The majority of our clients are English. We've got offices in Costa del Sol and also in Costa Blanca, but we work in any part of Spain. Nowadays, we work, it's very straightforward to access to any land registry, to any town hall, for the legal searches, which is a very important part of the legal conveyance. We also developed, in the last years, we developed a big accounting and fiscal department, which helps people to obviously understand what is the implications of becoming tax resident in Spain, not only from the administrative point of view, resident, but also from the tax point of view. So we developed that as well, and myself and a team of 4 more people specialized as well on relocating people to Spain, moving to Spain, primarily residing in Spain, not only buying for the purpose of holiday home, but the ones that they want to move to live in Spain. as I said, we work in any part of Spain, being very specialized on this legal conveyance and helping people to understand what is the process of buying a property in Spain, and more importantly, the implications of buying a property in Spain.
Thank you, Raquel. That's really, really helpful. A fantastic overview there. So thinking about the buying process, at what point in that journey, when people are searching for properties and kind of planning their move to Spain, at what point should they start talking to you and your team?
They should start contacting us since the very, very beginning. I know that many people, they contact directly estate agents to view properties, but the actual thing is that they need to contact, in my opinion, first of all, my experience of 26 years, they should contact, first of all, a lawyer, because they need to know what are the implications of buying a property in Spain. Also, preventing any delays when completion is taking place, because in Spain, it's very different to the UK. We can be completing on a property purchase as soon as 45 days. So it's very important to understand since the very beginning, either buying a property just for the sake of investment and a holiday home, or moving to Spain, you need to understand the implications, you need to understand the costs, you need to understand what's the procedure, how does it work. You need to understand, as well as Paul explained, to contact first of all an exchange rate company like a Smart, and that was very good explanation, the reasons provided, because you need to understand and know in which parameters, in what are you getting involved with. So it's very important to know the legalities, and it's quite important to understand how long you're going to need once you have found the property in order to be ready to move forward. And to contact a lawyer, it's really crucial at the beginning of everything, because mainly once they are here in Spain, normally they don't have time. They are very busy viewings, they're very busy, and I mean the majority of the times there's no time for the power of attorney, which is crucial for buying, for the legal representation, for buying the property, and they don't have time for that. So they need to understand beforehand what is the process, resolve any questions they may have before they get implicated in buying the property, and then obviously establish that contact and have a full explanation of everything, like bank account, NI number, etc.
Fantastic. Thank you, Raquel. That was really, really helpful. You talked there about the process. Could you explain for the viewers this morning? So once they found a property and they want to place an offer, can you just sort of give a simple explanation of what happens from between placing an offer and having the keys in their hand, what that process is, and typically how long that would take?
Mm-hmm. Well, as I mentioned now, it's important that we have already the power of attorney in place, because the client already contacted us when they decided to buy a property. It can be a process of 45 days if everything is correct. The structure of a property purchase, a resale, we're talking about resale, of course, is divided mainly in 3 steps. The first step is to pay a deposit, which normally should go to a escrow law firm bank account. We confirm to the vendor's lawyer that we are holding that deposit, confirmation that the buyer is a serious buyer, and then we will request all the documents to the vendor's lawyer to organize the legal searches of the property. The preliminary searches we need to organize before releasing any money can take as short as a couple of days, 3 days, if we move quickly, and of course if the other party move quickly in providing the paperwork. So once we got the preliminary searches organized, which consists of checking what is the situation of the property in the land registry, if there is any charges against the title, if the property is registered in the name of the vendors, we have to check that. Also, we need to check with the town hall what is the situation of the property. If it is when the property was built, if it was built legally with a license. In some part of Spain, for example, in Andalusia region, the license granted by the town hall when the property was built is called license of first occupation. In other areas, like, for example, Valencia, Alicante, the region Costa Brava, or Galicia region, as I said, we work in any part of Spain. And also, at the beginning, when the clients contact us, we provide books, legal buying guides that I wrote personally to give them a very exact scenario about buying a property in Spain. It's different, it's called in a different way. If, for example, in Costa Blanca region, it's called Cédula de Habitabilidad. For example, in Galicia, is called in Alicante, Declaración Responsable, or Cédula de Habitabilidad in some regions, depends how old the property is. In another regions, it's called Cédula de Habitabilidad. Which is, at the end of the day, is the name in the legal name in Spanish, but at the end of the day is to check that the property has been built legally and it had the permission by the town hall when the property was built. Also, it's important to check that since the property obtained the license up to now, when the client is buying the property has not suffered, or the vendors have not made, or previous vendors have not made any modification to the property. And if that is the case, we need to check that it had the corresponding license, the corresponding authorization from the town hall. So all of that comes in the legal searches report as well. We also need to check what are the running costs of the property and if there is any debt, for example, the rates, community fees, if it is a property integrated in a complex, rubbish tax, water and electricity. We're not very worried about water and electricity because of private contracts, but for example, rates and community fees, if the vendor leaves any debt behind, can go against the property. So all of that we need to check. And we're not, we are very against to release the money very quickly. That's why we advise the clients to hold on with us for a couple of days and check at least the main parameters, the main legalities of the property before releasing any money. So we signed the reservation sum contract, which is the first payment, and then I explained already the legal searches. Then when we have completed that part, we know the legal situation of the property. We move into the second step, which is a down payment of 10%. Again, because it's a resale property, everything will depend on the vendor. Some vendors, they say, oh, I prefer to go straight to the 10%. I don't want any reservation. As a lawyer, take your time. Take, for example, 1 week. My lawyer provide all the paperwork. Obviously, the lawyer happens and deal with the transaction. We talk to each other and we say, yes, take your time. Here is all the documents to complete the legal searches, but my client wants to go straight to the 10%. It's not normal. It's very, very rare. We should place a deposit in the first place, and that's my advice as well, to safeguard the transaction, freeze the price, so we stop people gazumping, and then we got the property off the market, which is quite important. And then final step is to go to completion. As I said, if everything is according to plan, the legal searches are completed and they're all correct, we can be completed within 40-45 days. At the moment, the police station is taking a long time, not only in a particular region, but also in the whole of Spain, because, as I said, everything happens with a registration code with lawyers, of the lawyers, and we've got access to any police station. But I say that it's taking now more than before, and so that's why it's another reason why clients should contact us. First of all, so we can get ready with the NI number and part of attorney, because without the NI number, we cannot complete. They need for completion this NI number, which is a foreign identification number, that it's not nothing to do with becoming resident or not, but is needed to complete the transaction, amongst other administrative things, like, for example, if you want to buy a car, if you want to get registered in a town hall, if you're going to go any transaction in Spain, you will be requested this NI number and not the passport.
Thanks, Raquel. That's really, really helpful to understand that process in so much detail. That's fantastic. Thank you. A couple of questions have started to come through. Somebody's asked, what is sort of the importance of a structural survey, having that done on the property? We are quite used to that here in the UK. That would be pretty standard practice when purchasing a property. What's that like in the Spanish system?
Well, it's not really that common practice that in the UK. Surveys can be done, but normally the surveys are carried out in properties that they are inland for different reasons, and also in independent properties. For example, if you're buying an apartment integrated in a complex, whether the complex has their own insurance and apparently everything is fine, it's a normal apartment of say 80 square meters, 100 square meters, 70 square meters, you really don't need a survey. It's very much depends on what you prefer. I mean, the kind of service here in Spain is divided in two different types of survey. You can have an aesthetic survey, so you can see whether a plaque needs replacement, etc. Or you can employ an architect, which actually is a different type of survey. The architect will confirm whether there is any subsiding, what is the structure of the property, what is the conditions of the structure of the property, if there is a pool, what is the situation of the pool, if the pool has any issue, what is the water and electricity installation, how old it is, if there is any issue with installations, if they need renewals. I mean, but in that particular case, as I said, depends very much. We will advise to get an architect or a surveyor, depending very much on the type of property that a client is buying. So, but as I said, it's not as normal as it is in the UK. In Spain, to get a surveyor to visit, for example, a typical apartment is not.
Thank you. That's very good advice, Raquel. Thank you. We've had a couple of questions about costs and about finances. Ian has asked what sort of percentage deposit you would pay on a property, and then Ray has asked what sort of are the typical legal costs. Are you able to answer both of those?
Yes, of course, absolutely. That's what we do every day. Well, the cost involved, for the first question, the deposit can normally is 6,000 euros or 3,000 euros. As I said, again, depending on how much the vendor is requesting, but the standard, the normal deposit requested is 3,000 euros for properties which purchase price is under 150,000 euros, and 6,000 euros which property purchase price is above that price, 150,000 euros. That's the standard criteria for paying a deposit. With developers, if you're buying a property off plan, that's different. Then you have to follow a standard procedure, and it's very, very common that in the 90% of the cases you pay 6,000 euros plus VAT. The costs involved in a property purchase, depending on the region where you are buying, and they can be between 11, 12, 13%. For example, in Andalusia region, if you're buying a resale property, now the transfer tax has been reduced into 7%. If you buy a property in Costa Blanca, you pay 10% of transfer tax. If you buy a property in the islands, there is some places where you pay 6% of transfer tax. So again, depends very much on the region, because transfer tax, same as inheritance tax, depends very much on the region where the property you are buying is located. With regards to other costs, you have to count with costs for the notary fees, land registry fees. The standard legal fees for any lawyer is 1% of the property purchase price. If you're buying a property off plan, it's more standard. In any part of Spain, including the islands, there's no transfer tax, but you have to pay VAT on top of the purchase price, which is 10%, and a stamp duty on completion, which is 1.5%. So, for example, if you're buying a property for 200,000 euros, which is buying the property to the developer's company, you will pay 10%, 200,000 euros plus 10%, and then on completion, 1.5% of stamp duty. The VAT, when you pay to a developer's company and you are paying stage payments, the payment will be 6,000 euros plus VAT 10%. Then maybe you pay 20% or 30%, then will be 30% of the purchase price plus VAT. And then final balance on completion, which is the other 70% plus VAT. And then you pay the stage payments plus the VAT. Then on completion, you pay the stamp duty. As I said, this is off plan, and then you pay the other costs. We are charging a small amount at the beginning, and the balance we get paid when we are completing. So roughly speaking, you need to count on top of the purchase price if it is a resale property. I would say 12-13% if it is Costa Blanca area, and another part of Spain like Costa Brava, like Galicia, and if it is Andalusia region, it's would say with 11%, 10-11%, you can cover absolutely all the costs, exactly the same as the islands, some of the islands in which the transfer tax, there's no VAT, there's no stamp duty, then other costs, notary fees and registry fees. Again, if you are implicating an architect or a surveyor, you have to put a little bit of around 700 euros, 800 euros for an architect or surveyor on top as well, which is again around 11-12%.
That's brilliant. Really, really clear and helpful. Thank you so much, Raquel. And that actually leads really nicely onto a question we've had from Darren this morning. He's asked, do solicitors cover any area of Spain, or does he have to find a specialist solicitor in the area that he wants to buy in?
No, we cover any part of Spain, including the islands, and we have done, as I said, for 26 years. The procedure is standard. What is not a standard are the legal searches, but we're very familiar with all the procedure and the different licenses that are granted by the town hall. So legal searches, when it comes to the legal searches, it's a very standard procedure independently where you are buying in Spain. Different is when you are off plan, which we have to get involved with the developer's company. And of course, the legal searches, they are different. But still, you have to just ask for different documentation for the legal searches, especially the bank guarantee, which are important, providing the stage payments that they are guaranteed with the bank guarantee, land registry information from the developers, from the plot of land where the developer's company is developing the complex, situation of the developer's company, the company house. So all of that are very standard. So we have been working in any part of Spain for all these years, and it's exactly the procedure. Actually, people think that, well, nowadays we changed that because of the COVID situation. No, you are not seeing the lawyer. You are using these tools, which are fantastic. Having this technology, being able to have Zoom meetings or team meetings with your clients regularly. And this is a very helpful tool. Normally, with the COVID situations, my clients are not coming to see me anymore. You don't need to see me. Updates happen with Zoom. We offer a Zoom meeting as a consultation for clients, because it's important to have that face-to-face meeting before getting involved in a property purchase. And that's why we offer 30 minutes for free to all our clients, to all our I would say, all our leads, that they contact us to represent them or maybe study the way of proceedings, for all of them to understand the process, what are their personal situation, what are the costs implicated, depending on the region they are buying, advice on, for example, should I buy in joint name? Should I buy in my own personal name? Should I buy in the name of my children as well? Should I include them? I mean, obviously every transaction and every person, every client is different. And that's why I offer, first of all, my books that I wrote. They are legal buying guides, explaining all the legalities, including taxes as well, for buying a Spanish property. And a part of the books so I have written, I also offer these 30 minutes for free, with no compromise, informing them what is exactly the procedure, how we should operate, how we can prepare the power of attorney, how we can get ready when they are ready, 100% ready to move and start viewing properties.
That's brilliant, Raquel. I mean, it's such a comprehensive service that you offer. And I think that the key thing for everybody to be aware of today is that you really do need to have these experts with you. Everybody's case is slightly different. Everyone's circumstances are slightly different. So it's really crucial that you get in touch with Paul and his team and Raquel and her team as soon as possible to talk through these issues. I'm very conscious that unfortunately we haven't been able to get Carsten with us this morning. We've had some technical issues in the background, and we're terribly sorry that he's not here, and he's terribly sorry that he's not been able to join you all and speak with you all this morning. What we're going to do is we're going to record Carsten's part of the presentation as a video, and we're going to share that with you all. So thank you for bearing with us this morning, and sincere apologies he wasn't able to be with us live, but we will record his presentation and we will share his contact details with you so you're able to watch that update and then speak with him and his team directly to see how Vincent Real Estate are able to support you with your purchases. Thank you to our speakers who joined us this morning. It's been fantastic to hear all of your insight, and thank you to all of our customers for joining us live on this Saturday morning here in the UK. We do have a full day property buying event on the 13th of November. That Paul and Raquel will be at, and Carsten and his team will be at as well. It is all online, but it's a full day with a broad range of different seminars covering all aspects of the buying process and life in Spain. You'll be able to chat directly as well, one-to-one, with the experts in that session. So we do really recommend that if you have time, do join us at that session on the 13th of November. And we will pop a link to register for that for free on screen now. As I say, we'll be in touch next week via email with all of the contact information, with a recording of today's session and an update from Carsten and the team at Vincent. So thank you again for all joining us. We wish you a really, really happy move to Spain. Bye, everyone.